Cool. It's been a while since I've done something like this. Thank you for inviting me. I have a lot to speak about, and just go right into it. The thing I'm going to talk about is the deep well of intrinsic value within yourself and your students, which you can bring out, and that's where the real diamonds are. I mean, the things that can change the world, not just for temporary, not just for a season, a semester, but for your whole life, their whole life, generations to come. These things which they built can be built on top of. But I truly believe it comes from looking within and then bringing those things out. It comes from knowing your purpose. There's a difference between going with the flow, I call it playing around, but also then looking within, figuring out what it is that you're really supposed to do and making that your vision, your dream, and actively going towards it. So my whole presentation today is going to be purpose is greater than play or purpose over play. So first off, I would like to show you all something. Okay, so this was the company I started when I was actually in college, my sophomore year. It was popular in the Pittsburgh area. I sold in 3 different Whole Foods markets. It's called Tree Cut Tea. As you can see, it's organic tea that combats deforestation. Um, I started in 2017 as a sophomore, and I credit this to my many, many years of entrepreneurship education, starting with when I went to Knox High School in Saxonburg area, Pennsylvania, Butler County. I was part of FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. That's where it started for me as a 15-year-old. And then I was a part of, yeah, that's me right there. I was a part of this one program called Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week that solidified the fact that I wanted to be in business. And then I was a part of the MIU 4 chapter of Entrepreneurship Academy at BC3 for like 3 or 4 years. I think they did that program, which solidified it more. And then I went to college studying entrepreneurship at Grove City College. So I had a lot of entrepreneurship education. So you're hearing from someone that is like a byproduct of what your guys' mission is. So thank you. But nowadays, I'm actually an author. I put a pause on the business to pursue my calling, which I later found out was greater than I thought it was. And this is the book I recently wrote. Um, it's like kind of like a fairy tale sort of thing, but books for any one of you guys, and this is a side note before I get into my presentation. For any one of you guys that have any uh, students that would like to be an author, or really anyone should do this. Anyone and everyone should write a book. It is completely free through Amazon KDP. You just make the document on Word or Doc. You make the graphic on, Canva, or even you can use AI these days. Um, and then you upload it to the back end of Kindle Direct Publishing by Amazon. And then every time someone buys your book, say mine's $30, it's a $4 printing cost that comes out of the money that the customer pays. And then Amazon keeps 40%, and then you keep the rest of the 60%. So for a student, or even it could be like a 6-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 60-year-old, anyone that wants to write a book can get it out for free. And then when people buy it, the funds to create the book and ship it to them come out of what it is they paid. So it's no upfront cost. And this is like, they say your book is your business card. Really, this is your own content that you keep, not just for your lifetime, but for generations. And you can not only make a lot of money from the book, but you make just as much, if not more money, from the promotions, that work you get from, being experienced with writing, from speaking engagements, from, the value you get from telling people you're a published author, simply by putting out a book on Kindle Direct Publishing. So I highly recommend people look into that, and you can reach out to me if you'd like. And then I had my personal website, but I'll come to that later, hopefully. Okay. So the thing I'm going to talk about is purpose over play, finding purpose, pursuing destiny, seeing the world from a different place. And there's 5 parts to this, which you can then repeat that I have put together, which I think you should maybe just adopt some of these ideas I submit to you, uh, not for you to push them on anyone, just for you guys to think about, okay, well, if you want to make something last, you want to make something that changes lives, changes the way people think about not just themselves, which is where it starts, but the world, then you have to think a little bit deep. And as I said, the well of value is within yourself, it's within the students. Bob, major kudos. Your students, like, it's amazing what students can do, like what anyone can do when they try something and go for it and continue. But I submit to you, you will try something, go for it, and continue when you know that's what you're supposed to do, when you know it. So that's what I want to submit to you today. There's 5 pieces of this I'm going to be going through. First off, receiving instructions. Secondly, what is your gifting? Finding your gifting. Number 3, faith, confidence, and determination. Number 4, truth seeking. And number 5, obedience is key. And I'll show you why these 5 keys are found in entrepreneurs that have perpetual success and are able to continue on growing on what it is that they've already done. So first off, receiving instruction. There's a couple ways to do this. Many of you are instructors. I applaud you for that. That's a life of service. Wow. I don't know if I could do that, to be honest. Day in and day out, giving of yourself, the knowledge you have to others, that's a calling and a gifting. And I want to thank you for walking in that calling, gifting, and purpose. But there's so much more we can be doing at times with what it is we have within us, our knowledge, our understanding, the keys that we've already unlocked, meaning the things, our experiences, our wisdom that we can give to others in a larger degree. So here's some of the ways people receive instructions. First, they read all sorts of books, gets you in a good mindset. Some people, pray and meditate. That's, a real thing for a lot of people. And in that, it could mean different things for different people. However, regardless, it's quiet time, speaking to a higher power, whatever you want to call it, and also receiving that knowledge from within yourself or from your mind or something. And then also visualizations. This is so deep. I could not have been able to finish my book. I could not have been able to get my business Tree Cup Tea in stores. I could not have been able to uh, even do this presentation or submit to it, like apply to it, or even get my website up and running, my personal website for blogging. Had I not done this thing, it's visualization. So I'll take a second to tell you what this is, just so you can tell your students, because it's so powerful. It's really just sitting there and you can close your eyes and imagine where it is you want to be, what you want to be doing, how you want to be doing it. When I first started Tree Cup Tea, I'll be honest with you, I was a sophomore going to Grove City College, and I was a bad dude. At some things, I was a party animal, is what I mean. And I would go all the time over to Slippery Rock, and I would party my face off. And by my sophomore year, I got kicked out of the school because they got policies and stuff. They're pretty conservative, and I got kicked out of the school for a whole semester for just literally being out of control. Uh, and it was during that time that I actually started my tea business. Had I not been kicked out and gone through a low where I was sleeping about 12 hours a day for like a solid week. That's never happened to me, but um, and then after that, I realized I had 4 months open from college, and I had time That's all I had. I just had time. And I was at my mom's house, and she was, caring after me, my good mother. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna start a business during these 4 months. I'm not just gonna waste these 4 months. And so I read a book. It's called The Miracle Morning, one of the most famous books about morning routines by Hal Elrod. That was recommended to me, uh, working in sales, and it talked about some of the things you should do in the morning to get yourself ready to have a victorious day. That was what they submitted to the public. Your morning dictates your day dictates your life, habits, routine dictates the way you end up being. And so one of the habits he submitted to us was visualization. So I would literally sit there, and it seemed kind of like not, I had never done anything like it. I had never meditated, quote on, and stuff like quote unquote, which is really just a practice in concentration, which can help anyone in anything, and you can concentrate on anything. Um, it doesn't just have to be, thinking about nothing. It can be thinking about your business, and suddenly ideas open up. Think about your relationship, and suddenly understanding comes. Well, with visualization, I literally thought about my product. I wanted to make my grandma's bottles of iced tea uh, into like a mass-produced product, and I pictured it in grocery stores and people buying it, and drinking it, and loving it. I pictured it being distributed across the United States, like on trains and semi trucks by the pallet full. And I pictured, people buying it and the money coming in, and us having a facility producing the tea. I pictured it because if you can envision it, then you can do it. If you can perceive it, then you can conceive it. But unless you try to think about it, then your mind can't, your body and your mind and your actions cannot reverse engineer the goal in which you put in place. So for speaking to your kids, I would literally say, hey, picture how this would be like looking big. Because then when you have a goal or a vision or a frame of mind within yourself, you naturally go towards it. But if you don't have anything, you can't really go towards it. And if you can maintain that frame or vision every day, or over time, even if you drop it for a week or a few weeks, if you can just pick it up and be like, okay, that that's a possibility. That's something that can occur. Then that helps you in going towards your goal. Earl Nightingale, famous motivational speaker, he says, not having a vision or not visualizing your goal is kind of like having being a ship without a destination. You're just drifting on the sea, and you can end up anywhere drifting on the sea. But if you really want to complete something that is lasting, to last a long time, you know, not just a season, a semester, which is cool and it's good. But imagine if one of your students was the guy that invented something big because he was able to see it, so he was able to conceive it. So you have to have that end goal in mind. You picture it. It's a huge thing. I'm telling you, these are serious principles of making what you want to happen. So number 4, contemplative journaling. This is very deep. You can actually get far deeper in thought and understanding in your mental facility, in your mental faculties, through writing down your thoughts, because you can literally track the way you're thinking as you're writing line by line what it is you're trying to comprehend or understand. If you're just sitting there thinking, that's good, but you can get deeper by writing it down, because you're able to see everything, and if you go off on a loophole, you're able to get back on what it is you were thinking about. So you're able to think things through a lot better. I learned that writing is simply thinking. So a lot of people can't write things and finish writing things because, to be honest, they've never finished thinking about the thing that they're trying to communicate. The reason why many people don't complete what they're trying to do is because they never thought through to its completion. Because then you have to face um, all sorts of things whenever in your mind, and sometimes our mind, to keep itself protected, does not want to think about those things. But if you're able to think about those things ahead of time, you're able to plan ahead. And even if you don't have a strategy, maybe you'll be able to identify some ways to go around it. Anyway, number 5, responsive communication. This is something where you pretty much have a dialogue within yourself about what it is you should do. This is important because um, your relationship with your own mind, let's put it that way, uh, that if that is not tight, if you almost don't even accept yourself, then you might not even try to uh, allow people to accept what it is that you're trying to do, if you get what I mean. If you cannot be one within yourself, like when people tell you a rejection a few times, 10 times, then you'll be broken, and you might not continue. So really, being able to have the mental faculty, being able to think, pretty much being able to think your way through things. Albert Schweitzer, famous philanthropist, said the problem with men is they simply don't think. So what I'm trying to do with this part is just tell you some key skills of how you can think through things. As I said, there are acres of diamonds in your own field. Picture a field. And us entrepreneurs, we're planting seeds. We have these ideas. Hey, let's do this job. Let's do this job. Let's get this client, this little client, this, and then something will happen. We're trying to plant these seeds in our field. But what if underneath the soil there was actually acres of diamonds? This is what I'm talking about when you're looking within. Then you draw that out and you got those diamonds out there. Okay, you're gifting. This is one of the most important things that people never think about sometimes. This is what can make you great, in the words of Steve Harvey. Your gift is what can make room for you and put you in front of people that you could have never ever thought to be in front of, simply because that's something that's very much a part of you, and you're best at it with the minimal effort. Your gift is something you are the best at with a minimal effort because it's within you. So number 1 is seeing the world through a different lens. The way you look at the world has to do with your gift. I can't tell you exactly what your gifting is. I can point to it, but I think it will take you looking within yourself, and the students will have to look within themselves. They're not too young to look within themselves. They're not. In fact, honestly, they're kind of a little bit late if they're already in high school. I'm not going to say anyone's late at any time in life, but point is, thinking through your life is always good, no matter what age you're at. There's no minimum age to it. The way you look at the world is your gift. That is what allows you to do the things you do. This allows you to communicate. It's allow you to care for others, to have the relationship with your job, your companions, your workplace that you do. The way you find your gift is very simple, yet is profound. We can get confused in it. What is it that you wanted to be when you were a little kid? You had a vision for it. What is it you loved to do when you were a little kid? Me, I actually like to write. It was only like 2, 3 years ago that I stopped writing for a long time. I love to read and write, and I stopped for a long time, 15 years, man. And then I got back into it because I really believed that was something that I was called to do within myself. And that is what I'm trying to get at. The gift, you can only realize it within yourself. You have to know it within yourself. No one else can tell you. In fact, the world will probably not validate it, because your gift is hidden in your deficiency. And what seems to be your weakness is actually your greatest strength, because it makes you rely on the thing that's your gift. So it's buried within you, and you have to rely on it. Maybe some people will point out, hey, you're this way, man. You got a critical eye in this way. Well, guess what? The reason you have that critical eye in that thing, which seems like a bad thing, oh no, I shouldn't do that, you might think. The reason you have that is because really you can do it better, and that might be hiding your gift. That's just one of the things. It's important to find your gift because not only will you derive purpose and thus fulfillment from walking in your gift, you will help so much more people than you thought you could. Your gift will spread, and when you walk in your gift, other people can walk in their gift. Um, Now, number four, listening to your heart, which I would say that's like, what are you passionate about? But also, I guess different people listen to their heart in different ways. But maybe what is it that really gets you going in your emotions? What gives you that emotional drive? And also your gut, or where's your intuition? Okay, so with those, you might be able to find your gifts. Some of my gifts, which I never knew that I had. That's the thing. Many people don't know what their gifts are. They don't think their gifts are um, they don't believe their gifts are what they actually are. Me, music is a gift of mine. I haven't done it much. In fact, in high school, in middle school, even in college, I failed at different musical things, um, and it was hidden. Me, I was always made to like play classical instruments by my parents, but really, what I wanted to do was play the blues. But they got me stuck playing the piano and the violin. So sometimes our gifts can be hidden, and this happens naturally. Another gift of mine is writing. But just because you have a gift does not mean you have to. It doesn't mean you don't have to unravel the skill. You have to work on this skill that is your gift, but it will have more and more exponential increase because it is something that you can do so much greater. That you have the responsibility to steward within yourself and also in other people once you're able to find your gifts. And once again, it's the way you look at the world. It's the way you think. So I have a quote here: "When you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny. Your gifting, your purpose, your destiny, even your weaknesses, they all go hand in hand. They all are very connected, actually. If you think about it, your destiny and your purpose, it would involve your gift. So if you think you want to do something like me, I got a dream to start homeless shelters. And one of my gifts is being able to talk to homeless people and like really listen to them and find them fascinating and beautiful, more than most people, more beautiful than regular people. I'm talking a lot, but I'm going to continue. I know it's a lot of information. I'm going to write a blog post about this most likely. I'll show you my website at the end. Number three, faith, confidence, or determination. So faith is not really, it's not even a religious thing, like we would maybe first think about it as, but rather it's a belief in something greater than yourself that propels you to believe in your purpose to create the desired end. So it's a belief in something greater than yourself. So that can be your vision, that can be the way you want to see the world be, that propels you to believe in your purpose to create the desired end. So really, it's you believing that something is going to be a certain way, and thus you are working along with it. So you believe in yourself that it's going to be that way, and thus you're able to believe in yourself. So you're able to work with um, the blowing of the wind or the flow of what you think will be. So then it's kind of like air being in your sails if you're a ship, and it's like the wind being at your back because this thing that you believe is going to be is already with you. So you're just walking with it. I hope that makes sense. This is arguably the most important part of entrepreneurship. I'm telling you, Elon Musk, PayPal, he knew PayPal was going to happen. He knew it was going to be online payments. That's what's going to be. Other people didn't have that vision. In fact, with your vision, with your purpose, even with your gifting, many of these things other people cannot validate because it's your vision. Other people don't have vision. Many people have sight, but very few have vision. Vision is being able to visualize where you want to be, where you want the world to be. Number three, your purpose has to be greater than yourself, and you have to realize it's for a greater purpose. Um, there's a great book, Start with Why. It's a whole lot of pages. In essence, it talks about your purpose is what should propel your organization, your business. And the reason it's important for kids studying entrepreneurship to know is raise your hand. It's okay if you're not on the camera. Just, realize, raise your hand if how many people have had kids that started a business for the class, but guess what? They never continue. They never continued. Now, I'm a product of entrepreneurship education, so I know this is the case. Very few continue. It's because, honestly, we're taught what to think, and we kind of can become kind of shallow, and we think in terms of shallow things. But really, if you really go to the root of what it is they want and they might be very insecure or not willing to express it. That is what can be lasting in their life and in the world, that vulnerability of them to manifest their gift. Let me say it that way. That can bring out a lot of beauty in this world, but there's so much resistance within their mind to keep that seed from being sown and being grown, because that is going to help a lot of people, and it might be different than what the world's already doing. Okay, so Myron Golden, an amazing business coach on YouTube that I listen to, he says, belief in the positive outcome of any situation creates anticipation, and anticipation creates the energy to make your desired end come true. So, anticipation is a great asset because it's energy in the positive outcome. That's what every entrepreneur needs. Jeff Bezos, he had a Honda Accord, he had a little office. He knew this was going to work. He knew it. Your students, you have to know it's gonna work. You gotta know it. You gotta feel it. You gotta believe it. All right, number four, truth seeking. Entrepreneurs have to have a love for the truth. Now, to be honest, I've seen a lot of fraud. I'm not gonna lie. There's so much fraud in this world. It's ridiculous. I was selling solar panels in California. It's like the Wild West. Everyone's, everyone's, in essence, stealing from one another, stealing from homeowners, simply because they're lying about the deals to make more commission. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Over here in Texas, also got into solar. It's like the same thing, a little bit less because California's California, but like still, there's fraud everywhere. And what are you really gaining at the end of the day? Just people looking at you with that nice car. But really, when you build your life on a lie, or you're doing unethical things in business, which by the way is very easy to do. When you have a business, it's so easy to start taking. Even when you're an independent contractor, it's so easy to take the unethical route. But later on, that does not help you. When you lie, you cheat, and you steal, or you do a mix or a little bit of all that, it's not sustainable. You can't build to great heights. So that's something that's just true. So what do you do when no one's looking? That's the definition of integrity. Only true things can be built on one another to create deeper and more accurate assumptions. Now, this might be a deep notion, but stick with me. If you can capture this, then I think it'll help you. It's like a building. You build true facts on top of each other, and the knowledge can work with one another. So then your assumptions are more solid and sound because they're based on true things. If you have a lie on one of those levels, although you try to build above it in your organization, in your building, it will always come back down to that level that's a lie, because in the lie there's actually nothing there. There's no truth. Okay, so when you're truthful, you can build to large heights. So I'm not talking about creating a mock scenario business, as I've done many times. I made like 5 business plans, like before I was 22, for all these different, like 30, 50-page business plans for all these different things. I had a entrepreneurship education I had to go through, which I was blessed to go through. Thank you. I thank you guys for what you do. It's a great thing. However, if you want something that's lasting, there's got to be deeper truth within it. And the truth can simply be this: hey, like, your idea is t-shirts or sweatshirts, but you have a passion for like anime. Why don't you go the anime route? Oh, I won't do it. I can't draw. Yeah, yeah, but so I don't know. As a teacher, maybe probing what it is that person really likes, really, and bringing out their gift is maybe one of the best things you could ever do. Being an advocate for their belief in themselves and what they're able to do. So without the truth, there cannot be any sort of liberty, much less financially. We all know someone who's bound up in a lie and it all crumbled to the ground, and then they didn't end up being free. You look at them and they're all depressed, stressed. They might be well dressed, but they got nothing within them. Now, if you are being truthful, there will always be a path to continue. It's when you are living lie that you suddenly get stuck and you might not be able to get out of it. It's always better to tell the truth, even though it hurts. And the worst person you can deceive or make believe a lie is yourself. Number 5, obedience is the key. Now, this is this is I'm gonna explain in the terms that I know. Obedience is from these meditative practices of journaling, and as an entrepreneur, you do a lot of sitting down and thinking about what the next thing is you have to do. Okay, sitting, because no one, you don't have a manager to be like, do this, do this, do this. You don't have a curriculum to be like, okay, we're gonna do this, do this, do that. It's literally, especially when you're trailblazing, doing something no one's done before. You sit down like, okay, how do we want to do this? And every morning I would get up and I would sit there. I'd probably get coffee, water, and I'd have my journal and I'd be like, okay, what is it I gotta do? And it would lead to a few things. And after 30, 40 minutes, it'll be like, okay, to-do list, this and this. Now the thing is, whenever you don't do the last thing you believe that you are prompted to do, or in entrepreneurship it's a lot of faith. I think I'm supposed to do this, so you go ahead and you do it, although no one's paying you. You're expecting that money to come back to you. That's faith. And you don't specifically know how it's going to work, but you just do it. That is that is what I call obedience. Okay, because it's obeying the dream and the vision within yourself and going towards it. It's buying into it and really doing it. Trying to finish what it is you started is a huge thing. Many people don't do it. Many people don't do it. You can't continue through the doors that lead to your destiny unless you do the previous thing. Once again, it's like trying to build a building, and the building is your business. But then you don't do that one thing, and then you try to get to the next level, and you try to skip a level. But really, if you did the next thing, although it was hard, or really it seemed hard to you, 'cause it's always harder in our mind at times than it is actually doing it. You cannot actually build up to the next level and get to high levels unless you do the next thing you're supposed to do. So these are common things that keep entrepreneurs stuck in the weeds. Um, they keep them stuck in the weeds and make them like die and strangle in their business and what they're trying to do. First off, delay. Okay, hey, you only, it's for some people they're only doing the business for a semester, 2 semesters, like a school year, then a summer. Like they can get stuck in delay. And delay for a month, 2 months, it happens. And actually, delay can be extremely beneficial, just like breaks can be very beneficial in refocusing and getting rest. However, delay can also kill your business. I'll put it that way. It can kill your business. It can kill your dream, your vision, your idea. The desert of delay is where many ideas have gone to die. I heard it said like this: the cemetery is the richest place in the world because that's where all those dreams and visions that could have been a lot of money, could have been a lot of helping people. They go there and they go there to die. And so don't let the cemetery hold your diamonds, hold the valuable keys you have within yourself just by doing the next thing in obedience. And you could call it faith, because you're expecting something good to happen. Now, next, self-sabotage. This is so big. I'm telling you, this is so big. We all self-sabotage ourselves at a certain time. Now, one of the great things you can do to keep yourself from being self-sabotaged is by serving others. And sometimes that just means trying to help another entrepreneur out. Like when people reach out to you, like for help, you give them the help. Like you try at least the most you can do. Okay. Because the thing about service is when you serve, it's like a bank account that you can pull out of, like in your mind, I guess you could say. When you serve, then you deserve. Because a lot of self sabotage happens from not feeling like you deserve what it is you're trying to go for. So thus, it's like you shoot yourself in the foot. But to make yourself feel like you deserve it, feel like you're good enough, guess what? You've given already all this value for free. And now, when it's time for you to get that value, you take that value because it's yours. So that's what I mean by when you serve, you deserve. Okay. So that's a great antidote for self sabotage. Now, improper learning and growth. Now, this is big. It just like loving, this comes back to loving the truth, seeking knowledge, reading books on business. There's a lot of great, uh, YouTube is an amazing teacher. The point is, you need to have the knowledge to be able to apply whatever it is you're trying to go for. Next, skipping steps makes for an improper foundation. I talked about that. This takes faith. You don't know what is going to come out of what you're doing, but also you can't assume either. Now, this is what a lot of people do. You know what the word assume means, right? It's when I'm not. If you know, you know. When you assume, sometimes you're making. Sometimes it's good. We as entrepreneurs are looking forward. Okay, looking around the corner. We're taking a bet on what we think will be. We're working towards, but also you cannot assume that something's going to be a certain way too. So it's like there's a dichotomy where you have to look forward and expect something, but you can also not look forward and then assume something bad's going to happen that's keep that thing from happening. So sometimes assumptions can be very bad for an entrepreneur. It'll keep them stuck by not moving. There's a way of thinking that's like as long as you keep moving, things will come. You know, it's when you assume and you get stuck because you assumed actually something that wasn't the case. Worry is a big thing. It was a big thief of dreams and vision and purpose. Is you can't move forward because you aren't thinking about the thing properly potentially. So I've had many times where some of my greatest blessings in business and many things were from just trusting uh, something was going to come out of it, and something came out of it out of the blue. I can't tell you how many people helped me. So many people helped me. Like I got my trademark for Tree Cup for free. Tree Cup is completely trademarked, 100%. Cost thousands of dollars. I got it for free because because I took a chance and I continued on that chance. And this IP attorney offered to give me it for free, and I took it. So simply show up and do what you need to do to go through the door. So much of life is about showing up. Sometimes the greatest oppositions is right when there's about to be a breakthrough. So we don't wake up, we can't wake up in time or something like that. Or there's fear on our mind, and we keep that fear, which is false evidence appearing real, from making us do, making us go through the door of our destiny. Now, another thing is finish the dream. Bring your vision to its completion. Okay, and if nothing else, you finish what it is you're working on, because you can then move on to the next thing fully and completely. And that in and of itself is worth a lot. Now, the thing is this: whenever you say you're going to do things, but then you don't do it, you start not trusting yourself. Now, it's one thing to tell someone else you're going to do something and then you don't do it. But see, when you say you're going to do things but then you don't do it, then you stop trusting and having faith in yourself. So then suddenly you don't fulfill what it is you're saying to yourself. So that is why walking in truth is a deep thing. It's actually psychological, that part. So next. This is deep. Listen up here if nothing else. Lack of fulfillment comes from not knowing your purpose and actively taking steps towards it. Lack of fulfillment makes a lot of things from depression, anxiety, on the clinical levels even, the type that gets medicated. Medicated. Lack of fulfillment creates all that. I mean, me, I was an addict. I was an addict, but I was an addict to marijuana. A lot of people get stuck in that around my age, even all ages, and that was from a lack of fulfillment. So knowing your purpose fills that void with what you truly are, with the true thing. So then we don't have to fill it with something that's not true. So this causes us to fill our time and minds with useless things in a striving to fill the void. And people are fulfilled whenever they are moving forward. Now, this is scientific, psychologically, psychiatrically proven. People are fulfilled whenever they are moving towards their goals and destiny and actively growing. You want your kids to be fulfilled? Some of them are empty because they don't know their dreams, they don't know their goals, they don't know their purpose, they don't know that those things even exist. They don't have faith in those things. They don't know, no one's ever told them. So as teachers, tell them, inspire them. The greatness is within them. Even if they seem not excited about anything, there is one thing which they're supposed to do that could excite them. That's what you gotta find and push them towards. It might not be interesting to you, but to them, it could be the key to unlock their destiny. So you gotta find your goal, actively move towards it. The active growth and the fulfillment you get from, even for me, if I write, because I'm a writer, that's what I know I'm supposed to do. Okay, your purpose is what you know you're supposed to do. If I do even a little bit of it a day, a piece of me is just filled. It's like, okay, I got that done. And my eternal bank account, or however you want to put it, that I added a little bit to it today. Even if I do nothing else, the important part, my destiny, I moved forward in that today. It's like a river. It's a pipeline. It's moving. It's a flow. And if you stop the flow, then it's hard to restart it. Have you ever seen a river that stops and restarts? No, because it doesn't really exist unless it goes like underground for a bit. The point is, the pipeline is you receiving what it is you're supposed to do, doing it, okay, and then receiving and doing it. But if you get stuck like a clogged pipe, then suddenly you might feel pressurized, you burst, and through delay and different psychological things, potentially we might be that might burst, and that we might not end up doing it. We might go to the next easiest thing, and so thus we fall into this thing called fate. Now, there's a difference between destiny and fate, and this is my last slide. This is so deep. Listen up here. This might help. This helped me. Destiny is going for the goal, vision, and dream placed within you. There's different ways to interpret this or derive it, but let me posit it in the verbiage and in the scope of your dream and vision, because a famous Brazilian author, Paulo Coelho, once said, your only real obligation on this earth or in this life is to fulfill your destiny, fulfill your purpose, or what he calls your personal legend. So you doing what you're supposed to do. That's actually your your greatest obligation. That's like the meaning of life, you could say, to a certain extent. The purpose of life. Destiny is going for the goal, vision, and dream placed within you. Only you can decide to sculpt the life that you desire. No one can desire it for you. No one can do it for you. People can help you, but let me ask you this: are you the main character in your book, or are you just an extra? Okay, because if you're the main character in your book, you'll end up impacting other people for good. Guess what? You have a book written about you. It's the book of your life, and you're the protagonist of the main character. But sometimes we're living like we're not the main character. We're a side character, an extra, or someone just in the background. But guess what? Not only are you the protagonist and the main character of your book, you're also the author, or you could say the co-author, at least. So saying a no to a lot of things is good, okay? It means that there's a deeper yes to your purpose and destiny. Successful people know how to say no. People that are good with their time know how to say no. They know how to delay gratification, okay? And they know because their purpose lives in them right now. You don't have to fulfill your purpose in order to feel the effects of living out purpose. You just have to take steps towards it, like daily, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's a little bit of learning. I had to learn to write. Like I did not know how to write. I realized I had to learn to write. But in learning to write, it was difficult, and I stopped a lot of times. But finally, I got my first book out in November. So saying no is good, okay, because that means there's a deeper yes to your purpose. Now, this is all destiny up here. So this is fate. A lot of people fall into the hand of fate. It's going with the flow, meaning the world will decide it for you. How many things in your life has the world already decided for you, or your, you know, or different people in your life that did have a will to do something? This looks like saying yes to a lot of things, but no to the deeper thing within you. So which one are you watching? Destiny, going for the glowing vision placed within you that you decide, or fate, just going with the flow, allowing other people to impose their will on your life. So that's everything I have to say, really. This is the difference between destiny and fate. We have a few minutes. I'd love to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was great. I have a question. You had mentioned that, you know, a lot of students that start, you were in entrepreneurship education, a lot of students that start a project or a business in school don't continue. Do you think that that resistance is because of how the education system kind of sets us up, or that the education system traditionally sets us up to work for somebody else, right? So how do you think, why do you think that that is, that students don't continue?
You know what? Whenever you interview me for the podcast, we discussed a similar question, and it
You can't
made
play
I've
my
been thinking.
secrets.
No, yeah, no, it's good. It's good um because I don't think I answered it fully, and it made me. I think I answered it like I think back then I said I said there's not enough stake in it for the student. Like they don't got their money in it. They don't have an asset made, because when you have your money made, when you have your money in it, your own money, and when you have an LLC, it changes the game. But I've thought about it. It's come to my mind since then, and I've realized, you know what? It's actually deeper than that. I think it's that the students not their internal mind, their knowing who they are is not developed yet. Okay, so because of that, they're not able to hold that much, because within themselves, um, we're told what to think, like for a long time. We're told how to think, what to think. So people go with that because it can be exhausting for some students, and they might find themselves in that process. But really looking within, and also making those skills that are like vital to life, like the personal development, is not up to a certain point where it can sustain something in for them to actually be the CEO and the creator, the father of a business, or mother of a business.
Awesome. Are there any other questions? Because I have one more, but I let other people have an opportunity. Pregnant pause. All right. So I have another one. This one's a little deep. So you talked a lot about purpose and figuring that out, and some strategies, which I wrote down, contemplative journaling. I think that's a really good one. But you know, I'm a little bit older than you are. And you know, what if you feel like you've never, you know, there's people out there, a lot of them, that you hear that word purpose and you're like, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know, you know, how do you help someone find it? Because you did some wildly different things. I feel like you were a young person that's lived many lives. Um, but you know, you had Tree Cup Teas, and then you had your book and all these other things. And you know, those two things are so different. Can you explain the difference between, you know, pursuing one business versus your purpose?
Well, I think there's only one person that can tell you what you're really meant to do. And you have to take a cold, hard look at yourself and really say, if all this, which I have made and developed, if everything I have up until now from what I've done with my life, if it wasn't there, if I had nothing, you know, what would I do? What would I be doing? What would I want to do? Maybe it's not even for other people at first. Maybe it's just like, what interests me? What makes me curious? Of course, the best things that you're then eventually able to create are benefit other people, so thus you get value back from it. But if that wasn't there, if you didn't have to fulfill anyone's expectations of giving them something to make them, you know, want you or give you something, um, what would you do? So go back to like being a child in your head and being like, okay, you know, what did I want to do back then? When you're a child, you know what you want, like, and then these notions of the world come in, and then or our parents tell us something. Like I wanted to be a chef. I told my dad I want to be a chef. He's like, no, they don't make enough money. Squash my dreams. But I did anyway. That's just a side note. So point is, what would you do if you had if no if you if money wasn't an object? What would you do for you? And that I think fulfills a deep peace within you. And if it does it for you, then how many other people could it do it for? Or at least could you, if it fulfills you, maybe it won't fulfill them, but you could show them how to be fulfilled. You have no clue how much people spend money on trying to be fulfilled, when really it's actually completely free. It's within us, you know?
That's really beautiful. There's a funny joke. I can't remember the comedian that said it, but the joke kind of went like this. You know, why do you think all the adults are always asking the really little kids what they want to be when they grow up? And the punchline is because they're looking for ideas.
Yeah, hey, that's probably true. Honestly, that's probably true. Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist,
Yeah.
which is just a book about you know, what's truly valuable. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys because it's good. I think most people should read it. I'm literally reading it like my fourth time. It's short. It's 160 pages. It's not hard to read, but it's deep actually because it's like an internal message. Um, and so uh, what he talks about is when you're a kid, you knew what you wanted to be, but then you grew up, and then the expectations of the world and making money and food and all that comes in, and then you have to do what you can to survive. But deep within you, that seed of you being a child and knowing what you want to do is still there. And there comes a point where you can either do it or you can let the current of the world take you to where it wills you to go. So at that point, you have to take a stand. And you know what? Courageous people, brave people, they're not specifically courageous all the time. It just they identified that they identified the point where they need to make a decision. And they made the decision to the best of ability for what it is they believed in.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you, and thanks for coming on today.
Hey,
Very
I got
excited.
one question.
Oh, go
Can
for
I
it.
ask him a question? All
Yeah.
right, thank you. Hey, Mark, what's going on, man? It's Giovanni.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm glad you joined in. What's up?
My man, here's the question. What would you tell somebody when you was just talking about how when you set goals for yourself, right? And then you don't commit to those goals, and you don't. You start things and that becomes a habit. You start things, you don't finish it. You start, you don't finish, and then you said you wind up losing faith in yourself. You begin not to trust yourself on a psychological level. What kind of advice would you give to someone that is in that mindset, and it's pretty deep, like it's kind of steeped within that, because there's a lot of people like that, I mean, it's pretty much steeped within them, and to get out of that type of psychological cycle, what kind of advice would you give them?
You know what? This is so good you asked this question. I also asked one of my mentors this question, and he told me the perfect advice that at first it didn't make sense to me in my mind, in my human mind, in my mind, and then I actually applied what he told me, and then it worked. It worked. So what it is this: you go back to the first thing that you were told to do, or you thought you were supposed to do, or you believe in that you were supposed to do. The very first thing, like if not the very first thing, one of the first things. Now you would think, oh, the time expired, it's too late, but that's not true actually. When it's with such a great force like your purpose and destiny, time is irrelevant. Time will, um, time will you'll become the master of time. You'll become the master of the time because it has to come into submission to the greater force of what your will is. See, this part's so deep. We humans in entrepreneurship, I did my business for 4 years. There were so many times where I thought I couldn't move forward. There was many times. One time I had to change the name. I had a trademark violation. I thought I was going to stop. Another time, I couldn't get my brand made. I had to stop. Another time I ran out of money. I had to stop. I thought I had to stop. Another time I got all these bottles made from China. I thought I had to stop. Like, but if you just continue, you realize things will change because your will is so strong. Not just that you have to impose your will to be strong, but just that we actually don't know how powerful we humans are. If we make a thing be, it has to be, you know. And even if it doesn't look like it's going to be, it has to. It will. Okay, and that's where the faith comes in. I mentioned faith a couple times. That's It has to eventually come to pass. So there's such a thing as redeeming time. And although you might think you're behind, if you work on that thing, guess what? On big things like finishing a book, or that's just my example, but it could be whatever it is for you. If you do that thing, it makes up for years of lost time. I'm telling you. So it's going back to the first thing, doing that with faith, believing that no matter what, even if you're off time, somehow it's gonna work. That's the entrepreneurship. Even if I hit a wall, somehow it's gonna work.
Love
Okay,
that.
all right. Is that like kind of like the you ever read the book The Secret? That's
No,
that
but
kind of
I've
remind.
heard about it. I want to read that.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. And I do believe there's a lot of truth to that. I do believe it can it can be a little bit over the top to the point where, I mean, if you're 5'1", you're not going to be in the NBA. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. but
You're
but I
funny,
do
man.
I do I do believe what you're saying, and you know what's funny? I think the universe is good. We're saying the universe, but I really do believe God is good to us in this aspect, that like what you're saying. I think it's introduced to us even earlier in life, like with smaller things. Like I remember even like things in my life where like I went to go take a test, and then the test. I mean, I was sure This teacher came to me. He's like, "Hey, you're failing math. I want you to, the best thing you could do is to go down and drop out, and this way you'll get it incomplete. If you keep going now, you're going to get an F on your transcript. It's going to stay with you for the rest of any college you ever want to go to." And I was like, okay, I guess that's what I got to do. That's what the professor in his professional opinion is telling me to do. And then there was something deep down inside of me, like a fire inside of me, and I was like, you know what? I don't know. I'm not gonna go. I'm not like on my way down to drop out. I was like, no, I'm gonna give this thing everything I got, and I did. And it's wild because it wasn't. I can't say like it was like everything I did, I made it happen. but yeah, there was something inside of me, I did what I could, and then I'm telling you, man, on the day of the final exam, things were just coming to me. I can't explain it. I mean, I was learning better on the and while I was taking the final exam, answers were coming to me that I wasn't even getting in class. So yeah, I see what you're saying. When you put your mind to something, sometimes things will just fall into place. I get what you're saying.
Well, we have to transition now. So to the interest of time, thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
Thank you.